This is the H9 from Daniel Defense. I'm Ron. I'm the owner of Leisure Carry, the company that makes that clip-on belt that lets you carry inside gym shorts that you're probably sick of seeing ads for. I've put together a series of extremely scientific and sophisticated tests to determine which guns are worth keeping in your pants. We're going to look at shootability, carryability, and how friggin' cool is it. I rank them on a scoreboard, and you get a clear picture of how they stack up against each other. Now there's cat hair all over here. But first, I'm going to get into some of the lore behind the H9. The H in H9 stands for Hudson, which is the name of the original maker of the H9, Hudson Manufacturing. Their flagship product, the Hudson H9, came out around 2017, was debuted at SHOT Show, and it was kind of a hit because it touched on all of the buzzwords that were popular. You have striker fired, you have low bore access, and you have 1911 style. Kinda something for everybody. And it was actually pretty innovative because it seems like everybody's trying to put out some kind of Glock killer, and this isn't even trying to compete with Glock. Sales started rolling in for Hudson, and they sold about 9,000 between 2017 and 2019. So now the question is, why is Daniel Defense selling them? And that's because Hudson Manufacturing got themselves into a little bit of a pickle. There's a business term called the Osborne effect, which is when a company announces the replacement of one of their products while still trying to sell the original. Customers will obviously stop buying the original version and wait for the new version to come out, so you're essentially cannibalizing your own business. Hudson Manufacturing was investing in scaling up their production while also making improvements to the H9. They made the mistake of announcing the H9A, which is a new and improved lighter version, while still relying on the revenue from the H9 to fund the production of the H9A. Hudson Manufacturing became gridlocked. While they were in this limbo, they started having returns come in and warranty claims come in, which set them even further back from being able to release the H9A. This whole situation ended up forcing Hudson to liquidate all their assets, which is how Daniel Defense acquired the design. Daniel Defense took that design and improved everything about it. Pretty much the only thing left the same as the original design is the basic look of the gun. The original Hudson H9 had all kinds of little gremlins, mainly relating to the barrel and the trigger. People reported keyholing and tumbling and excessive trigger creep. The gang over at Daniel Defense used their expertise to elevate the product to something that fits their brand. Being that it's Daniel Defense's first handgun, it seems like they really wanted to make something that was unique to them, rather than making something that looks and acts like a Glock. Now these puppies are sitting at about $1,000 price tag, which is expensive if it's not very good, but it could be a deal if it performs up to the Daniel Defense name. Now that's enough lore, let's get out to the range and see if this is the gun that finally fixes me. Alright, welcome back to the range. Just like in the last video, we got 7 yards to the steel, 10 and then 25 to the infinity targets. We're knocking down all the steel and then 2 shots in each of the infinity targets. We're going to be keeping track of the times, and then we're going to make an average with all the scores. That way we can compare apples to apples with the rest of the guns in this series. So without much more, let's go ahead and get to it. Alright, so while I'm loading up these mags, I wanted to pause and highlight something about this gun that I think is a little unusual, but I think is really cool, and that is how they designed this trigger. So it's a straight pullback, but it has a trigger safety, and they put the hinge of that trigger safety at the bottom so that you can grip it really high up on top of it. Why I think that's important is that when Hudson was making the H9, the whole point of it was to make something with a super low bore axis. And just to compare another very nice gun, we have the Staccato, and look at the difference in the bore axis of these. Look how much higher the trigger is in relation to the barrel. This is the first time I've gone out and shot this, but before shooting it, I've played with the trigger a little bit, done some dry firing, and I did not like this trigger at all doing dry fire, and nobody that I've shown it to has thought the trigger was very good. But taking it out here just now and shooting with it, I actually really like it. I don't have any complaints with it, I don't think, and I think I might be actually preferring it to other stuff. So I'm going to keep shooting it, and we'll see if that holds true. Alright, welcome back to my garage. Let's get into the scoreboard. For shootability, before I started filming, I got to the range early to sight in my red dot, and it took me about 150 rounds to get the gun cycling properly. It was failing to feed just about every other round for the first 20 or 30 rounds, and then after that it got a little bit better until it was down to like once every other magazine. Any other gun I've ever bought has just worked straight out of the box, so that's kind of the standard for me. When something doesn't just work right away, you have that thought in the back of your mind all the time, like, is this gonna just stop working when I need it? Well, here's a little spoiler, I ended up gaining a lot of confidence with it. I finally told myself it is what it is. 3 cleanings was just gonna have to be enough. No other gun that I've ever bought has had this kind of spot treatment. So even though I wasn't certain that I had fixed the failure to feed, if it did end up malfunctioning, it was just gonna have to get factored into the time and score. I wasn't gonna baby it and try to figure out what its preferred type of ammo was. It was just gonna get what everything else got. So I started doing the time drills and the malfunctions completely cleared up. I stopped having them. I ran 15 of those time drills and I thought for sure I'd catch one of them on camera and get to talk about it, but never came up, never happened. But now that it was running nice, I was having so much fun with it that I didn't even realize that I had completely blown out my previous best scores. My average time with the Daniel Defense H9 was 7.64 seconds, putting it about half a second faster than the next closest gun. The gun is just really natural to shoot, which makes it a little easier to shoot fast. Now on to carryability. Size-wise, the H9 is a really sleek little pistol. It's very comparable to slimline Glocks, specifically the 48. It's almost the exact same dimensions as the 48. The grip on the H9 uses a deep groove instead of a aggressive and coarse stippling. It's really nice because it doesn't chew up your waist while you're carrying it, but when you're shooting it, it's aggressive enough to leave a pretty distinct imprint on your hand by the time you're done. Accessory-wise, it is pretty limited. You're not going to find hardly any aftermarket parts for it besides optics plates and grips. They really don't want you messing with the trigger on it, so if you don't like the 4.5 pound trigger, you just got to deal with it. Even OEM parts for it are not really available. It seems like everything is proprietary, so if you have an issue with anything, your only option is to send it back in to have it get fixed. I'm not in the competitive shooting scene, but I would assume that those 2 reasons are why this is not a very popular pistol for competition. On the plus side, everybody seems to make a holster for it. I got mine from TXC holsters as usual, and as usual, it's awesome. So now, where does it rank on the scoreboard? It's actually about 1 ounce heavier than the Staccato, but its average width is a good bit narrower. And while I don't notice the extra ounce that I'm carrying, I do notice how much slimmer it is. So for that reason, I'm putting it right in between the 43X and the Staccato HD C3.6. So now this brings us to the most important question in this video. How freaking cool is the Daniel Defense H9? After the initial headache of actually getting it running, I was very impressed by it. I was actually more excited to talk about and show people the H9 than I was the Staccato. Now, this might be controversial, but I have to rank, for those reasons, the H9 at the top of the cool scoreboard. Now, that being said, we need to end on a hypothetical. If I could only have one handgun, would I be satisfied with it being the H9? I would enjoy it until something like the magazine broke or the barrel needs to be replaced, and I couldn't just fix it myself, I had to send it in. I just don't love the idea of not being able to fix or replace little things by myself. It kind of makes me think of stories you hear about a car brand like Bugatti, where just to get an oil change, you have to ship it to a guy named Pierre in Molsheim, France, because he's one of 3 people in the world that knows how to do it, and the other 2 are on their 3-month holiday. But since I can have as many as I want, I do actually plan to keep this one. And if Pierre just wants to keep fixing it until I die, I'm gonna let him. Now that wraps it up for this one, and I'll leave you with this. Treat your baby like a gun. Don't leave it in the car. Take it with you.